Today, we're welcoming in the fall.
In the spring, everything was upward and sprouting. In the summer, it was outward and shining. And just like a tree, in the fall, it's time to let things go. Just like it lets its leaves fall down to the ground, back to the earth, we let go of what no longer serves us. But we do want to hold on to our seeds, the things that we're going to nourish and deeply ground and root through the winter, and hold on to those seeds so that in the springtime they will sprout again.
So the energy of fall is this inward, reflective, grounding. It's even dry and clearing, and the overall energy is much slower. So it's really important that we take this time to slow down and reflect. And even though that might not match up with our social norms, it's really important that we clear away the old so that we make space and can focus on nourishing what's really important for us.
And in Ayurveda, if you're that pitta, hot, fiery type person, the fall is going to feel so good as that cool breeze comes in. So enjoy it. And you can probably even eat off your summer eating for a little while longer into the fall. It'll still feel good. If you are the kapha body type, that damp and congested, the fall is going to feel really nice as the wind comes in and dries things up and lifts your feet off the ground and gives you some energy. So you should really enjoy this season as well. If you're the vata body type, you're cold and anxious naturally, it's time to jump right into these fall foods. We want to start warming and grounding ourselves. It's time to start preparing now before the winter gets too cold for our bodies.
And in traditional Chinese medicine, this is the season of the lungs and the large intestine, and even the skin. And the flavor that really nourishes these organ systems is pungent, which means it's really clearing. So it's going to help clear out any excess moisture or sweetness that we might be holding onto from the summertime, because eventually that would turn into too much dampness within the body. So it's going to help clear that out, and those types of foods would be onions and garlic and ginger. We can also look to the leafy greens, and if you just look at the shape of the leafy green, you'll see that it actually looks just like a lung. So we know it's going to be really healing to the lungs and the respiratory system, and we always know that dark leafy greens are super nourishing and replenishing for the gut as well. And the different conditions and diseases that we see correlating with this time of year are things like respiratory conditions, skin conditions, fertility, cancer, and gut conditions.
And speaking of the gut, nature gives us all these beautiful root vegetables and squashes and sweet potatoes, rutabagas, acorn squash. These are all great plant water soluble fiber that our microbiome just loves to eat off of. So it's really important to get these things in your belly. And because we are changing this through the season, this is the simply seasonal way. We're diversifying our produce and from what nature is giving us at that time. This is going to diversify our microbiome. So it's a really neat cycle. It really helps to improve our microbiome and helped us adapt with each season.
And we're leaving that season of, again, the fruit and the hyper sweet and hydrating, and we're going into more of the apples and pears, pomegranates, figs, grapes, cranberries. All of these things are much more mellow in their sweetness and even have an element of sour, which again continues more of that clearing type of energy. So it's helping us to wean off of that hyper sweet and really get in touch with more of the mellow sweet that we find in things like squashes and all of your root veggies.
And all of these veggies also say, cook me. They're really hard. I mean, even the greens in the fall become a little bit more rough and want to be cooked down. So this is your sign that nature's saying to start cooking your food. And so we're going to move into soups and stews, casseroles, roasting, baking, and sauteing. They're all good. By cooking down all these foods, the warmth is going to help balance out the cold air, and we're even adding a lot of moisture to them as we release the moisture from the vegetables and cook them in sauces and such, which is going to help balance out the dryness of fall.
And we even look to the warming spices that we love during this time of year, like cinnamon and clove and nutmeg and ginger. All of these are super warming, and they're all very medicinal. So it's fantastic that we're craving them during this time of year, because again, they all have an element of astringency, which is going to pull away anything that the body doesn't need anymore. And the warming property really helps it circulate blood throughout the body. So they're super healing. And we all know these spices to be the pumpkin spice. So instead of going to your local coffee shop and getting a couple pumps of just straight sugar and artificial pumpkin spice flavor, we've made for you a simply seasonal version, so you can make your own pumpkin spice latte at home, which is absolutely delicious, and it pairs beautifully with these pumpkin spice muffins that are so easy to throw together, full of seasonal veggies, and you'll absolutely love it.
So head on over to simply-seasonal.com, sign up for emails, get these amazing pumpkin spice recipes, and so much more.
Well, that sounds simple enough.
Because it's simply seasonal. Today we're going to make a pumpkin spice syrup that you can make and have in your fridge and just add to your coffee or your lattes. We're going to use half a cup of pumpkin, half a cup of maple syrup, and then we're going to add our pumpkin spices. Some cinnamon, a little bit of clove, a little bit of ginger, and a little bit of nutmeg. And just stir it over low heat. To thin it out, we're just gonna add a little bit of water, bring it up to a little simmer, and get those flavors all incorporated. And this is how simple it is to make a pumpkin spice latte. So we're gonna take a tablespoon or so of our pumpkin spice syrup. Then I have a hot French press of coffee, oat milk, and I'm gonna pour that over, and then we can top it with a sprinkle of cinnamon. A pumpkin spice latte. Oh my God, it's so good.
That's